Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Stephen Tawe, and in this tutorial, we'll dive into the world of PowerApps to create a comprehensive performance management system. And our main goal is to guide you through building the system step by step from the conceptual level to deployment. And before we dive into the technical details, let's start with a brief introduction. So the main purpose of this tutorial is to teach you how to create a performance management system using model-driven Power Apps. And by the end of this session, you will have a clear understanding of how to structure, develop, and deploy this application. Our performance management system will include features like setting goals, progress tracking, performance review, data visualizations, and so on and so forth. So without further ado, let's dive in. Now let's go over our entity relationship diagram and how the tables are connected. So first of all, employee and department. This is a one-to-many relationship, meaning to say an employee belongs to one department, but a department has many employees. That's why we have got the lookup column inside the employees table here. Same goes for the job role. Each employee has one job role, but the job role can be assigned to many employees. Hence the one-to-many relationship as well. That's the reason why we also have got the lookup column inside of our employee table. We also have got the employee and performance review. So an employee has got multiple performance reviews, but each review is for one employee, hence the one-to-many relationship. We also have a performance review and reviewer. And the reviewer is someone who's also sitting in the same employee table, because all the employees, all the managers, they'll still be, in the same table. That's the reason why we have got the relationship between these two. And that's also a one-to-many relationship. And a reviewer can conduct multiple reviews, but each review is done by one reviewer, hence the one-to-many relationship. We also have got the employee and the employee goal. So each employee can have multiple assigned goals, but each goal is only linked to one employee, hence the one-to-many relationship that we have here. And we also have got the criteria and goal. And the criteria is that goals have multiple criteria, and the criteria can apply to multiple goals, hence the one-to-many relationship. Meaning to say, if I have a criteria like financial criteria, and under that financial criteria I can have goals to say, make sure you make $5,000 worth of sales for Q1 of 2025. That's a goal that is falling under review criteria of finance. So one goal, finance, can actually have multiple lines, hence the goals. So moving on, the system will have different roles and responsibilities, and I've just listed them down here so that you can appreciate exactly what each and every user will be able to do within the system. A system administrator will be responsible for configuring the performance management system by creating user roles, assigning permissions, and so on and so forth. The HR manager is the one who's defining defining and loading of the performance goals and assigning those goals to departments and just monitoring any other compliance and policies. And we also have got the department manager, who's also in the employee table, but they'll have different user roles and permissions as compared to a basic employee. So those individuals, they'll be able to customize and assign goals, those goals that have been assigned to them by the HR manager. So they'll be able to also approve employees' submitted goals and scores. They'll also be able to conduct performance reviews, which are quarterly or biannually or yearly reviews. So they'll be able to do that. The employee will be able to update their progress for their items that have been assigned to them, and they can also submit self-evaluations and comments. But the reviewer can also review and provide feedback in terms of everything that has been submitted. So the reviewer is someone who's just overseeing the whole process to ensure that everyone is actually following the rules and the guidelines of the compliance and the company policies as well. So let's actually dive into developing this solution. So the first table that we're going to create is the review criteria table. So in our solution, I've just named it performance management. I'll go to new table, table advanced, and I'll give it a name. And the primary column should just be the criteria name. Save this. So let's go ahead and add the columns. So when the table is created, go to columns under schema, and on here, click on new column and give it a name of description. And description should be multi-line text. Okay, save this. And let's just quickly edit the view, which is the active view. On the active view, I just want to see the criteria name and the description. All right, save and publish. Now let's quickly edit the entry form. So here on the drop down on views, just click on it and let's go to forms. And on here, let's edit the information main form. Just click on it. Right, on our entry form, we just need to have the name of the criteria as well as the description. Okay, and let's just go ahead and hide the owner field. Save and publish. And our review criteria form is done. Now let's go ahead and create the goals table. And the goal, the display name or the primary column should just be title. Save this. And let's add our columns. Right, so since the goals table is related to the criteria table, and on our entity diagram, on criteria, we had the total weight, because one criteria can actually have multiple goals. So you've seen that in the goals table, we've added a column called weight, which is of type of decimal. So now for us to sum up all the related items or related goals total weight, what we need to do now is, because we have got this association of review criteria, which is a lookup from the review criteria table. In criteria table now, we can go in under columns, and we'll specify that we will need to add a new column. This column will give it a name of total weight, and the data type should be number, same data type as the weight field in the goals table. And on the behavior, it shouldn't be simple, it should be a roll up. For us to complete this, we'll save and edit. So in order for us to calculate the total weight, after you've clicked on edit, it will open up a pop-up. If your browser is blocking it, you can just allow it. And first of all, we need to select the related entity. In this scenario is our goals table. And then you need to select the aggregation. So the aggregation function that we want to add on our form or on our column should be sum. So we're summing up the weight field in the goals table. Save that, save and close, and that is done. So now our goals table, we have got our criteria table that has got the different criterias. Right, so now that that field has been created, we have got the total weight, which is now the summation of all the weights that are in the goals table. So when it comes to the goals table, that's everything that you have to add, and all the revisions of when exactly do you have to create certain fields. As you've seen the goals table, the review criteria table, you cannot create the weight if you have not yet created the child entity. In this case, that's the way that's the how we've figured out and how we've developed it here as well. So let's proceed to create the other tables. Now that we have created all the tables from our entity diagram, let's go ahead and create the model-driven app. So I'll go to new in my solution, app, model-driven app. Give it a name. You can give it a description as well. On our navigation, we'll click on add page and we'll add our 7 Dataverse tables that we've just created. And the tables were review criteria, performance review. We also had employee goals, employee and employee goals. We also had role and department. And we also had goal. I don't know if I've already selected goal. Yeah. Okay. Add those. And we can just rename the grouping to, just give it a name of and under manage employees, we need to have the department and the employees. We can also add another group, and this one we'll call it performance review. In the performance review, we'll add in the review criteria. We'll add in the performance reviews. All right, and we'll add in the goals as well. Right, so under managing of the employees, we've got the departments, we've got the employees, and the employee goals and the job roles as well. All right, and the managing of the employees should be at the bottom, performance review should be at the top. Save this. Publish. After you've done publishing, you can click on play and let's load up the app. So as you can see, we have got our application up and running, and we have got our performance review on the left hand side here, where you can see all the goals, the performance reviews, the review criteria, the department, employees, employee goals, job roles, etc. So what I'll do is I'll add in sample data so that we can see how everything is flowing. And after that is done, then we can also just go into how we can limit user access to the application. Remember, there were some scenarios where inside of the employees table, we also had a self-reference. So how can you manage to say some employees should be able to add performance reviews, but some should not? So we'll cover all those. So let me add in the sample data, and then we'll proceed to have a hands-on end-to-end demo. Finalized adding the sample data in our application, and as you can see here, we have populated a number of information in the application. I'll just quickly go through everything. So under managed employees, there's the job roles. So all the job roles that you have in your organizations, you can load them up here, including the descriptions in terms of what is expected of that particular user. So it's the description is more or less like a JD. So you know that the HR managers, these are the responsibilities, so that even the employees themselves, they can actually appreciate what is expected of them. So under manage employees as well, we've got departments. So all the departments that you have in your organization, you can load them up here. I've just added location, but depending on your scenario, you can also remove it, or you can add other columns that you think are also adding value to the department's table as well. But currently, all I have is the department name, the description, and the location as well. And we've got the employees. So now the employees, we have got the employee name, and just take note, the full name is a calculated column. By calculated column, I mean that we have got the first name and the last name, and the full name is just taking this and then adding a space between it, concatenating these two columns to give us this. So this full name is a calculated column, and we've just taken it from these two items here. So from the name, we have got the picture of our employee there, which is the John Doe, and we have got the job title, which is we're getting it from the job roles. We have got the department, which we're getting from the departments. We've got the manager. This is a self-reference, so if the manager will still also be incorporated within the same table as the employee. The email address, the hire date, and the photo, of course. But what I wanted us to take a look further is in terms of the employee goals. So we'll get to that. First of all, I just wanted to show you how the performance review section as well. So the performance review section, we have got the review criteria. The review criteria is, all the criteria that your organization will use to evaluate performance of employees. So I've just added in sample data, for example, customer satisfaction, employee performance and development, financial performance, innovation and learning, internal profit process efficiency, and these are just sample information and the description as well. And apart from that, we have got the goals. Now the goals, remember, one review criteria can have a couple of goals that are associated with it. So you see here we have got the goal title, we have got the description of the goal, the start date and the end date of the goal, and as well as the review criteria. So if I'm to open one goal here, you see that I've got the goal details and I've got the description. I can also specify the goal type here. So maybe this is just performance goal, and I also have got the weight as well. And now, because remember we had added a row up field inside of the review criteria, if I'm to open this review criteria by just clicking on it, it will now save this record and then navigate me to the review criteria page. From here, as you can see here, I've got the reference and so on and so forth, and I can also see all the associated goals, that I have. But remember, we had total weight here and we forgot to add it onto here. So let's just quickly do that so that you appreciate everything. So I'll open up my review criteria form. The form that I want to edit is the information main form. And all we have to do is to drag the total weight onto our form here. And when that is done, save and publish. Let's go back to the app and refresh here as well. All right, now that our total weight column has been added to the form, what it will do now is that it will just sum up all the weights that are in the associated goals. So from here, you can now tell to say these goals, the goals that we have under the criteria of operational excellence, they're adding up to 30% of the total weight. So just summing up of the 18% and the 12%. So that's how the relationship between the criteria and the actual goals themselves, that's how they're related to each other. One other thing is that we created was the relationship between the employees and the goals. Remember, we had introduced a table in between. That table was called employee goals. The reason why we introduced a table in between is because the relationship between the goals table and the employees table was a many-to-many relationship, and because of that, we had to introduce the linking entity that will mitigate for that. So from the goals, one goal can have multiple employee goals, and one employee can also have multiple employee goals. So hence the linking entity here. And if you go to, excuse me, if you go to the employee goals, you see that you can see the actual employee that goal is, assigned to, and you can also see the actual goal itself, and you can also see the date at which it was assigned. And if I'm to go to the employee, from the employee, I can also see all the goals that have been associated with that particular employee. So if I'm to use John Doe as an example, I've got the John Doe's information on the left hand side here, but I can also see all the goals that John Doe has to work on. So as you can see here, John Doe has to increase revenue growth, that is there as their goal, and John Doe has to reduce IT downtime, and so on and so forth. So when John Doe completes his work, so for example, John Doe has increased the revenue by the specified amount. So John Doe can come in here on the employee goal, because John Doe will be able to see the items that are associated with him. So they can say, okay, I completed this on the Friday the 13th, and the completion percentage is 100%. And I can also specify this to say this has been completed. All right. So now, if I'm to say this has been completed, I can the work we can add a workflow. I haven't added it here, but we can add a workflow that notifies who the manager for John Doe. So when the manager for John Doe comes in, the manager can review. After they've done the review, we can also add a comment section here, or an attachment section, so that you can add, you can back up your claim. And when that is done, the reviewer or the manager can come in here and review this. So by just adding a new performance review. So only the manager will be the one, being able to actually add the performance review. So John Doe can, start reviewing his own stuff. So we can say, okay, well, this has passed. The review period of this has been scored in Q1, and this was part of the quarter review. And you can also add comments as a reviewer. Everything. All right. So when that is done, this particular ticket here will be, we can log it to say it should be logging out this, or it should be deactivating it automatically, so that no one can come in here and then start making any changes to it. So that the other items that I'm mentioning here is just as further development in terms of what we can add to the application, and to ensure that everything else has been, it's been streamlined, and everything and it's in order. Right, so that we avoid these scenarios where people are going into the system and then just making any changes anyhow. And we can also use the business logic to deactivate, to grant people the ability to activate or reactivate stuff. So we can assign to system administrators, who will be the ones to be able to deactivate stuff and reactivate stuff as well, because we don't want a scenario where people are just going in and then making any changes. And the good thing with the reviews, this employee, John Doe, will be able to read what the manager, what his or her manager had added here. And they'll also be able to see the date at which they reviewed, and they'll also be able to see the date of the, the person who reviewed it in here as well, including the statuses and so on and so forth. So I know there's a lot that we can add to the system, and I would really appreciate comments in the comment section below. But what I just wanted to, plant a seed of a seed where you can actually can germinate into an idea where you can build on top of what I've demonstrated here, because this is the foundational layer. You're managing a lot of stuff, but what other workflows do you want to add on top? You can also add a BI report, the BI report that summarizes every employee's performance by just getting access to the data from this application here. So if you have got any suggestions, comments in terms of how we can actually beef up this application, feel free to comment in the comment section below. But that's what I had prepared for you today, and I wish you a very good day.